Imagine discovering that assets meant to honor a loved one's legacy have been siphoned away through deceit. Assets that should have provided comfort and support during a difficult time. Today, we're uncovering the dark side of probate, inheritance assets stolen through fraud. We'll explore more common acts of probate fraud, reveal how these schemes operate, and share essential strategies to protect your inheritance, along with an overview of the penalties imposed on fraudsters. Probate fraud occurs when someone manipulates the legal process surrounding the distribution of a deceased person's assets for personal gain. This can involve forging documents, misrepresenting the deceased intentions, or exploiting loopholes in the probate system. Inheritance theft, a specific form of probate fraud, refers to the unauthorized transfer of misappropriation of assets that rightfully belong to the heirs or beneficiaries. These fraudulent activities can range from minor administrative errors manipulated for nefarious gain to elaborate schemes designed to steal significant portions of an estate. The impact is devastating. Not only are financial assets lost, but family legacies are tarnished and trust is broken among loved ones during a time when unity is most needed. Let's break down some of the frequently encountered tactics in probate fraud. Forgery of documents. One of the most common fraudulent acts involves forging signatures on wills, codicil, or other probate documents. Fraudsters may alter a legally valid will or create a counterfeit one to redirect assets. This could mean altering beneficiaries' designations or even fabricating documents that purport to show the deceased's final wishes. Undue influence. In some cases, individuals close to the deceased might exert pressure on them or on the estate's executor to change their will or estate plan. This undue influence might not involve overt coercion, but subtle manipulation can lead to a estate's plan that favors one party at the expense of others. Misappropriation of funds. Executors or fiduciaries are trusted with managing the estate's assets. Unfortunately, some may abuse their power by misappropriating funds, using the estate's money for personal expenses or diverting assets into accounts they control. This kind of fraud can remain undetected for months or even years. Fraudulent claims against the estate. Another method involves individuals making false claims on the estate. For instance, a creditor or unrelated party might submit fraudulent invoices or bills attempting to siphon off a portion of the assets before the rightful heirs receive their share. Identity theft and impersonation. In some sophisticated schemes, fraudsters may impersonate heirs or even the deceased to gain access to the estate's assets. This can involve using stolen personal information to change beneficiary designations or to initiate unauthorized transfers. Tampering with inventory lists. An executor might deliberately underreport the value of assets or fail to disclose certain high-value items. This tactic not only defrauds the heirs, but can also result in improper tax filings and reduce distributions to the rightful beneficiaries. Please comment below so I can answer your probate and estate questions. While the risk can seem daunting, there are several practical steps you can take to safeguard your inheritance and ensure that the probate process is handled transparently and fairly. Work with reputable professionals. Always engage with qualified, experienced estate planning attorneys and probate professionals. Verify credentials and seek recommendations from trusted sources. Professionals who specialize in probate are more likely to notice red flags and can provide guidance to prevent fraud. Regularly update estate documents. It's critical to keep wills, trusts, and other estate planning documents up to date. Changes in family dynamics, financial circumstances, or even the discovery of potential fraud should prompt a review of these documents. Regular updates ensure that the documents accurately reflect the deceased's true intentions. Conduct thorough background checks. When appointing executor or trustees, perform comprehensive background checks. Look for any history of financial misconduct or legal issues that could indicate a risk of misappropriation. Be sure that the individuals in these roles have a reputation for integrity and transparency. Keep detailed records. Documentation is your best defense against probate fraud. Keep copies of all estate-related documents, including the original will, any amendments, correspondence with attorneys, and detailed inventories of assets. If you suspect any irregularities, these records can serve as critical evidence. Regular audits and monitoring. If you're an heir, stay involved in the probate process by requesting regular updates and audits of the estate's accounts. Ask for copies of financial statements and review them carefully. In many cases, an independent accountant can help identify discrepancies that may indicate fraud. Educate yourself about your rights. Knowledge is power. Familiar yourself with your rights as an heir or beneficiary. Understanding probate laws and the typical procedures can help you spot when something doesn't add up. Many states have consumer protection agencies or legal aid services that can provide guidance if you suspect fraud. Utilize technology for secure communication. In today's digital age, secure communication is crucial. Use encrypted email services and secure file sharing platforms when exchanging sensitive information related to the estate. This reduces the risk or identity theft and unauthorized alterations to documents. Seek mediation when disputes arise. If conflicts occur among family members or between heirs and executors, consider mediation before turning to litigation. A neutral mediator can help resolve issues and may prevent fraudulent behavior from escalating. Mediation also fosters open communication, reducing the potential for manipulation and undue influence. It is important to understand that probate fraud is a serious offense and the legal system imposes strict penalties for those who commit it. Here are some of the potential consequences. Criminal charges. Individuals found guilty of probate fraud can face criminal charges including forgery, fraud, and theft. Convictions in these cases often result in significant fines and even jail time. The exact penalties depend on the nature and extent of the fraud, as well as state laws. Restitution orders. Courts may order fraudsters to repay the misappropriated funds. This means that any assets stolen through the fraudulent means could be returned to the estate or directly to the affected heirs. In some cases, restitution can be combined with fines and other penalties. Civil litigation. Besides criminal charges, those harmed by probate fraud may also pursue civil litigation against the perpetrator. This can include lawsuits for damages, compensation for emotional distress, and legal fees. Civil cases provide an additional avenue to recover lost assets and hold fraudsters accountable. Disqualification for fiduciary roles. Once an individual is implicated in probate fraud, they are often disqualified from serving as an executor, trustee, or in any fiduciary capacity in the future. This loss of trust and professional standing can have long-term career and personal consequences. Enhanced penalties for repeat offenders. Courts are particularly harsh with repeat offenders. If someone has a history of fraudulent activity, judges may impose enhanced penalties, reflecting the increased risk they pose to the legal and financial systems. Understanding these penalties reinforce the importance of vigilance during the probate process. The legal repercussions and designed not only to punish fraud, but also to serve as a deterrent against future misconduct. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more estate planning tips. Now, probate fraud and inheritance theft are not just abstract legal issues. They strike at the heart of family legacies and financial security. By understanding the common methods of fraud, being proactive in protecting your assets, and knowing the severe penalties that fraudsters face, you can take concrete steps to ensure that your inheritance and that of your loved ones remain secure. Taking preventative measure doesn't only protect assets, it also preserves the dignity and memory of the deceased. It's about ensuring that their final wishes are honored and that the legacy they worked so hard to build isn't tainted by deceit. If you suspect any irregularities during the probate process, or if you're simply looking to fortify your estate against potential fraud, remember that consulting with qualified legal and financial professionals is crucial. They can help navigate the complexities of probate law and safeguard against fraudulent activities by staying informed, keeping meticulous records, and maintaining open communication with all parties involved. You can mitigate the risks of probate fraud. The goal is to honor the legacy of your loved ones and protect the integrity of your family's financial future. Thank you for taking the time to delve into these important issues surrounding inheritance, assets, and probate fraud. With vigilance, knowledge, and proactive measures, you can ensure that your family's legacy remains intact and free from the shadows of fraud. Disclaimer: the above information is intended for information purposes alone and is not intended as legal advice. Please consult with counsel before taking any steps in reliance on any of the information contained herein.